Acha bachcho, let's see this question. The diagram shows the ultrastructure of a chloroplast as seen in section. What are the functions of P, Q and R? In the diagram given, they have labeled three parts as P, Q, R, and from the given options, we have to identify which is the correct function for the parts P, Q, R. Now, the structure of chloroplast is something like this. It consists of an outer membrane and an inner membrane. It's a two-membraned cell organelle, and then it has its own DNA. There is a gel-like fluid which fills the chloroplast, that is stroma. There is plastoglobulus and ribosome. The most distinct feature of a chloroplast is thylakoid. It is a coin-like structure which is stacked to form grana. This entire stack is called grana. And there is starch grain where the final product is stored in the form of starch. That is, the photosynthesis which is taking place inside thylakoid, it is generating glucose which is stored in the form of starch inside the starch grain. So going back to our diagram, over here you will find P indicating at the coin-like stack structure. So we can say P as grana. Then R is denoting to the gel-like fluid which fills the chloroplast, that is stroma, and then Q is the starch grain. Now we'll have to match the functions. The first option says that grana, that is P, is responsible for carbohydrate storage. Okay, I'll write it in a different manner for you. Grana, P is grana, R is starch grain, we have written Q is starch grain, we have already written it over here, and then R is stroma. Now let's match the functions. Option A says grana is responsible for carbohydrate storage. No, grana is not responsible for carbohydrate storage. Starch grain is responsible for carbohydrate storage. In order to solve the MCQs fast, let's check the options for Q. Over here, Q, which is starch grain, only option C says the starch grain is responsible for carbohydrate storage. So let's observe the C option first. Grana is given the function of light reaction. Yes, it's true. The light reaction of photosynthesis takes place inside grana. Then Q, that is starch grain, is responsible for carbohydrate storage. Yes, it's correct. And then R, that is stroma, is responsible for carbohydrate synthesis. That is also true. So the correct option will be option C. Then the other two options, that is option B. Over there we have P is responsible for light reaction. Q is responsible for carbohydrate synthesis. No, starch grain is not responsible for carbohydrate synthesis. So the option B is false. Then the last option is option D, which says P is responsible for light absorption. Then we have Q as carbohydrate synthesis and R as carbohydrate storage. So this option again is wrong. So it was basically solved in a few seconds, right, students? The correct option is C. So for this question, P, that is grana, is responsible for light reaction. Q, that is starch grain, is responsible for carbohydrate storage. And R, that is stroma, is responsible for carbohydrate synthesis. Hope you have understood it well. Best of luck.